Rope flow exercises are a great way to hone mobility, coordination, endurance, and athletic timing all at the same time. So in this video, I put together a collection of 20 or more rope flow exercises suitable for complete beginners and more experienced practitioners. So we've got basic underhand and overhand patterns along with the dragon roll and more advanced movements like the underhand sneak. You'll also find a few combos and single arm exercises in there so you can start chaining your rope flow movements together. Give me a shout in the comment section below if you've got any questions. So first up we have this underhand air slice, so it's practicing the motion we're going to use in an underhand stroke or figure eight. So placing your palms together, you're going to trace a sideways figure of eight or infinity sign in front of you, leading with your pinky finger and starting from the bottom and going up to the top. So keep your shoulders relaxed, allow the wrists to move freely. As well as the arm and wrist movements, there's a side bend and rotation through the thoracic spine. You can then grab your rope by the handles or near the ends and perform the same figure of eight movement pattern but with the rope in hand. So you're keeping your hands together and trying to keep the path of the rope as vertical as possible. So that's going to require some movement through the wrists. So as you become more comfortable with the movement, experiment with shifting your weight from side to side slightly. So if you're rolling the rope on your left, most of your weight would be on the left foot. So this is an underhand pattern that we see in bipedal locomotion, so walking and running. So the overhand slice is essentially the opposite of the underhand one. So with your palms together, you're going to trace that same infinity pattern, but this time leading with the thumb, so going from top to bottom. So just keep those shoulders relaxed, hands together, and wrists nice and mobile. With your rope in hand, you can perform the same overhand motion. Think about the torso movement you would use when throwing a punch or throwing a ball. So the same thing applies with shifting your weight onto the side that you are rolling the rope. The propeller is a useful movement to transition between an underhand and overhand pattern and vice versa. So the hands together or slightly apart, you roll the rope in the frontal plane from side to side as if you're stood in a narrow alley between two walls, so like a propeller on a plane. So begin with an underhand figure eight, and as the rope crosses your midline from right to left, you can turn your body 90 degrees to the left and transition to the propeller. So when you feel comfortable to do so, then on the upwards phase of the propeller, you're going to rotate another 90 degrees into the underhand figure eight. You can move from an underhand to the propeller, back to overhand, and then you've completed a full cycle. The underhand matador is similar to the underhand figure of eight, the difference being that the hands are apart. So start by placing your hands to your right side, begin a circular underhand motion and maintain the same distance between your hands. On the upwards phase, you're going to cross your right hand over to your left side as if you're throwing an uppercut, and then continue with the same underhand pattern on your left side. So perform at least one full rotation per side before you switch over, or it can get a little bit messy. For the overhand matador, start performing an overhand circular motion on your right side, keeping the hands equidistant, and on the down phase of a circle, cross your right hand over to your left side as if you were throwing a ball, and then continue with the same overhand motion on your left side. So with both the underhand and overhand patterns, you can adopt a split stance and come up onto the ball of the rear foot as you switch sides, like you'd see when throwing or striking. First part of the dragon roll is a rope flip, so starting with the rope in front of you, touching the floor, practice looping it over your head onto the floor behind you and then back again, keeping the shoulders relaxed and the elbows in close to the body. For the broken dragon, you're going to start with the bottom of the rope off at a 45-degree angle to your left side and your torso rotated towards it. Drag it along the floor to your right side, so the opposite 45-degree angle, flip it over your head, drag the rope along the floor to return to facing to the left side and flip it over to your front. Rest and repeat. After breaking the dragon roll down into its individual parts, you're then going to put it together with a bit more fluidity. So stick to one full rotation at a time for now. So you're turning, dragging, flipping, turning, flipping. Take a pause, then practice it again. You can then look to eliminate the stop and continue to flow. So get proficient on one side with the dragon roll before trying the opposite direction. Remember to squeeze your shoulder blades back and down on the back portion. You can also drive up from slightly bent knees as you bring the rope from back to front, developing a little bit of explosiveness. You You can even add a 180 jump to the middle of your dragon roll for the switch. So timing can take a little bit of getting used to. I like to jump just as the rope is rising from the bottom position behind me. The 360 Matador is essentially combining the Matador with the Dragon Roll. It's similar to the Figure 8 and Propeller combo. To perform a few overhand Matadors on each side. When you feel comfortable, you're going to turn 90 degrees and transition straight into a Dragon Roll. From the Dragon Roll, you can turn another 90 into the Underhand Matador. Continue for a full cycle. You can perform as many repetitions of each movement as you need to feel comfortable in each position, eventually working down to one repetition of each. So now we have the overhand sneak on one side. Start by holding the rope with your right hand to your side and your left hand behind your back on the right side in kind of a bully stretch position. So your first movement is to stretch out your arms wide, so the left hand comes out and over your head, straight into an overhand Matador-esque roll on your right side. From there you're going to cross your right hand over in that overhand Matador towards the left, while simultaneously placing the left hand behind your back again into that internally rotated bully stretch position behind your back on the right side of the pelvis. So you're going to repeat that motion, performing as many Matadors as you need to feel comfortable on the right side. For the full overhand sneak, you're just going to replace the Matador on the right side with an overhand sneak using the opposite side that you've practiced. So you probably want to practice your less strong side with a single side overhand sneak before you try to combine them together. For the single side underhand sneak, you start in that same setup, left arm internally rotated behind the body, right hand by your side, so that bully position. From there you're going to spread the arms wide, connect the back of the hands by your left side, and then transition to an underhand Matador or Figure of 8. From an underhand stroke on your right, you're then going to return to the starting internally rotated bully position behind the back, rinse and repeat. For the full underhand sneak, we get this really nice coiling through the core, which can potentially transfer over to our gate patterns. So we can eliminate the underhand Matador or Figure 8, so we're sneaking on both sides. Weck describes it as forwards, back and through, 1-2, wings wide to the back side, and that really helped me in learning it. So you're going to go forward, back and through with the front hand, threading your head through the rope like a needle, connect the back of the hands, spread your arms wide, then bring the opposite arm into that internally rotated bully position on the opposite side. With the cheetah tail, you're going from that bully stretch position, performing an underhand stroke, and you're going to try and time it so at the top of the stroke, the apex, you're going to transition to a bully position on your opposite side. So then it's kind of the same again, underhand and switch. You've got to be quick with this one, and you're probably going to get smacked in the head a few times learning it, but it's quite a fun one and looks a bit silly. The one-hand underhand is a basic one-hand stroke, so you're simply rolling the rope with one hand, bringing the elbow up high when the rope is on the opposite side of your body. If you want to get a little fancy and practice your coordination and timing, you can perform the underhand motion like a Figure of 8, but switch the rope between hands as you do it, typically on the upwards phase. The one hand overhand is the same overhand stroke, but just with one hand. So remember to side bend and rotate through your thoracic to really get that coiling motion going. And again, with the overhand switch, just like the underhand switch, you can play with swapping hands, so we're working even more on our timing and coordination. This is one of my favourite movements. I think it ties in quite nicely with striking and throwing. So you're going to interrupt a single overhand stroke with kind of this elbow or forearm strike. So you start throwing that elbow when the rope is pointing down. So when it reaches the apex at the top, you strike it with your forearm, guiding it over to the opposite side of your body. So it's more of a transition movement. You can start to tie these one-hand rotations together to rotate in 180 or 360 degrees, and yeah, just have fun with it. So I hope you enjoyed this video, or found it useful at least. Let me know which of the movements you're enjoying the most, or you're working on or struggling with. You can drop me any questions or comments you have down below. Have a healthy, heroic day. I will catch you soon.